Add to stream. There we go. Let's see who shows up today. Fix your collar, Mr. Banana. All right. Nobody so far. The fewer the people, the less my nerves will flare up. All right. Just went live like a minute ago, so and I know all of this is going up on YouTube, so I'll just HH. Somebody showed up. How you doing, HH? Can you hear me? Oh, good. Good. Perfect. Did you learn about this stream in the Telegram chat or from YouTube? I'm just kind of curious how the because I looked at the stats, and one of the stats is confusing. Like 60%, it looks like 60% of the people came from. It almost looked like they came from YouTube, and I have a hard time believing that. All right, HH, if you could just put in the chat what you need help with, and we can just start with that. I have a presentation that I can go over, and that's typically what I do. But what I thought I would do this time is just open it up to whatever you might need some help with, and we can go over that. I also thought I'd go over like a little bit of who am I? Here I am. Here am I in just briefly. I live in the Northwest United States. Like, let's see if I can do this. Ooh, this is tricky. Here we go. I live out there. There. And I've been in crypto since 2021. Bought the Hex top, DCA'd all the way down. And a buddy of mine told me about Hedron. I got in on the 9x multiplier. I'm very thankful to him. And that, of course, got me into Icosa. When Alex announced Icosa, I literally, well, not literally, but figuratively couldn't sleep for like 3 nights. Went to bed thinking about it. So, well, if you don't have any questions, HH, can we just call you? Would that work? Kidding. Totally kidding. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through my presentation, and there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm continually, gathering stuff, but I liken myself to like a junkie. Like I know a lot about Hex, Icosa, and Hedron, but I mean, ask me about liquidity. Ask me about where price is going. I ain't that person. And I'm not the best at public speaking. My children, on the other hand, were in a national speech and debate organization, and 2 of them at least like competed nationally. So, well, armed with that, let's just go ahead and begin. If you have any questions, what I'm going to try to do this time is answer them as we go, because last time I kind of lost track of where we were. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go over like several different sections. Security, we're going to touch on Hex, Icosa, Hedron, WhatsApp, some big days to keep in mind, auctions, and some other information. And I've got some handouts that are, I think most of the handouts are in the description to the video. So security. Now, we were just talking in the chat yesterday. A gentleman wanted to know how to make multiple wallets. If you want me to perhaps demonstrate that, let me know. I can do that. I'm kind of big on security. Okay. You want to be using a hardware wallet. If you're using MetaMask, you're going to need to buy a hardware wallet, port that seed into the hardware wallet, and use that going forward. Never digitize your seed phrase. Never take a picture of it. Never type it into a keyboard if you can avoid it. Never give your seed phrase to a scammer. How are you going to never give your seed phrase to anybody? And you need to etch your seed phrase into something durable like stainless steel. I literally bought an engraver and engraved mine into stainless steel plates, and they're safe. They're like, they can be burnt, they can flood, and I still got my seed phrase. Alex, if you are in the Telegram chat and somebody named Alex with Alex's picture direct messages you, it's not Alex. He does not direct message, and his picture has a blue check mark. That's the Alex. So the next section is Hex. Hex is like the granddad of the Icosa and Hedron system. And the biggest thing about Hex is the share rate. And that's why Icosa and Hedron exist, is because of the Hex's share rate. Whoa. Okay. I just got all of your questions. They literally popped up. Let's pause on Hex and go to, okay, video's good. You learned searching on YouTube. Perfect. You've been wanting to hear more recent takes on Hedron Icosa. I had to deliberately find you. Nice. Appreciate the background information. That works. What do you think of keeping a seed phrase in a bank safe? No. Very blunt answer, but no. Why? Because other people have a key to that security deposit box. And I listened to a guy named Jim Rat Crypto. His partner was in the TradeFi industry for years. And he worked at a bank at some point, or did something with a bank. And he said that they were remodeling it, and they literally pulled all of the safety deposit boxes. Oh, they went behind and they pulled everything out of everybody's safety deposit box and put it into Ziploc bags, I think, is what he was saying that they did. He was like, don't put your seed phrase in the safety deposit box. So I hope that helps. Any other questions? Drop them in, and hopefully I don't come across like a glut of questions. But anyhow, back to Hex. So Hex is the granddad it's like the granddad of Hex, of Icosa and Hedron. And you can buy Hex, and the utility in Hex is that you want to stake it. I mean, you can hold it, but you're going to be continually diluted as time goes on. Price will appreciate, but you'll be diluted. The whole idea is that you want to stake your Hex so you can earn yield. It's like a certificate of deposits, the first blockchain certificate of deposit. So you want to stake your Hex. When you stake your Hex, the Hex is burnt out of supply, and you mint what's called a T-share. Have you heard any of this? If you could just say yes or no. Do you know anything about? Here, do this. Put a one. Let me know. Do you hold any Hex or Icosa or Hedron right now? Let me know if you do. That kind of help me. Because if I'm talking to somebody that knows quite a bit about hex, and we can skip some of this. So you burn your hex and you mint a T-share. The T-shares are valuable because the more T-shares you have, the more hex you're gonna earn, because you earn a certain rate per T-share. Right now it's like you earn 6.3 hex per T-share. And the T-shares are the goal. You heard this? Cool. Ah, excellent. Excellent. Okay. You're in. um, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Hold up. You're gonna have to bear with me. This is my practice run, like my third one. Okay. So the goal is T-shares. Now we have two options to staking hex. You can do what's called a native stake, which is at Go Hedron, or just a traditional stake, or you can do what's called an HSI stake, which is a hex staking instance, where that hex stake is wrapped in Hedron, and it doesn't affect the hex stake at all. You still get your T-shares. You still got them end stake it when it matures. But let's go over some of the benefits of an HSI. Number one, when people make HSI stakes, it locks up hex until a maturity date, and that's beautiful. You get portability with HSI stakes, meaning you can send that HSI to another address. You have a level of security. Let's say you made an HSI from a compromised wallet. Why, you could send that HSI to a more secure wallet. You can sell an HSI on OpenSea. It's essentially a financial NFT earning hex every day. You know, there's all this buzz about NFTs. Well, HSIs are a financial NFT, and you can take an advance of Hedron from them. Then you could stake that Hedron to earn Icosa, stake the Icosa to earn both Hedron and Icosa. It's beautiful. You can tokenize it, send it to the Icosa contract for Icosa. So in other words, you can tokenize the HSI, is now an NFT, and you send it to the Icosa contract address, and immediately you're going to get Icosa in that wallet. And then you can stake that Icosa. You need to make, now if you make, you don't need to, but we recommend that if you make an HSI and you're considering sending it for Icosa, that you make it a 5-5, a Quadro Cinco stake max length, because then if you do send it to the buyback, you get 10% extra Icosa. I'm going to read your thing here in just a second. Got to close some stuff out that's distracting me. Let's see. I want to read your comments. You want to understand the hex T-shares. Perfect. I'm pretty sure there's a link to T-shares explained in the YouTube description. And if there's not one there, you can find more information on YouTube, if that helps. Agreed. Okay. And do you know how to, have you made a hex stake before, or should we cover that? Because I can certainly show you how to do that. Let me know, because I want to get into Icosa next. Cool. Okay. The beauty of Icosa is it has the T-share in it 2 times. It's in the buyback feature, meaning when you send it to the Icosa contract, you get Icosa based on the advanceable Hedron divided by the T-share rate, the current T-share rate. That T-share rate goes up every single day. Just a tick. Oh, here's something I can tell you about the share rate. That took me a bit to understand. When you end your stake, and let's say you wanted to restake your principal, If you go to restake that principal, you will earn less yield, because when you end that stake, the share rate ticks up depending on how much you had staked. And what that does, that ticking up in the share rate, that prevents you from being able to stake that same amount for the same amount of time and getting more of a share rate, so you can get more hex as yield, if that makes sense. But the only way that you can get more T shares is if you end your stake and restake the principal plus yield. Then you could get, or longer, if you staked it for longer, then you could get more of a share rate. But it's a function of ensuring that people are unable to get more of a share rate, if that makes sense. So the only way you can get more T shares is to stake more for longer. That's how it's built. So Icosa has the share rate in it twice. Once in the buyback feature, and then staking in the staking points. When you go to stake it, you get its principal divided by the T share rate. So when you stake your Icosa, let's say you stake 1,000 Icosa, 1,000 Icosa divided by the share rate, which is like 26,000, that will be your stake points. So Icosa has the share rate in it twice, which is pretty cool. Icosa doesn't have max staking like Hex does. It has minimum staking. It has minimum staking days for a max token amount. Shall we show you that? Let me see if I can present my screen. I want to share a screen and an entire screen. I'll make sure you get the right one here. Okay. Getting the hang of this. Okay. So, I did not connect my wallet. Let's see if I have one. Yeah, let's see. I did not connect my wallet, and I should have. I'm connected. Sometimes the Icosa dApp has been giving people problems. I know. Maybe. I really don't want to take your time and waste time. But basically, I wish I connected next time I need to do that. Have my wallet connected. Cool. Okay. So I need to connect wallet next time so I can show you guys how it works. But basically, you got minimum staking days. So like, let's say you wanted to stake 1,000 Icosa. 1,000 Icosa today would be a 180-day stake. 300 Icosa would probably be a 90-day stake, and we'll get into that, because it's based on supply. You can only make one stake per wallet, but you can have multiple addresses per wallet. And you can go ahead and make as many stakes as you're comfortable making. I don't know if I go into this in here, but one of the things that I'm doing is I am making shorter stakes, and I'm packing as much in to those stakes as I can, just as many as I can handle. Like, even if it's a few dozen. Why? So I can compound my yield, and I'll show you how we can do that. Thank you. You don't have to end your stake, but let's say you wanted to emergency end stake. Like, let's say you saw a wave of yield incoming. Let's say there's a wave of yield coming on Saturday, tomorrow, and you have a stake ending on Sunday. Why, it might be wise to emergency end stake and restake before that huge wave of yield comes in on Saturday. You take a little bit of a hit for a huge gain, one of the things that I've noticed is that people have like an emotional attachment to their share rate. There was a guy in the chat, Telegram chat yesterday, and he was like, I don't want to, I got my great share rate. I'm like, dude, you're missing out on yield because you are afraid of giving up that great share rate. But we got to separate our emotions from our investing, right? And just do what makes sense. So it might make sense on occasion to emergency and stake. I'm not recommending it, but this is how it works. If your stake is 25% complete, then you're going to take a 75% hit on the principal and the yield. That's just how it works. Emergency and staking might be profitable for a big day. Your share of the pool determines your yield, which is determined by your stake points. Your pool share will go down as other people. So when you get your stake points, that's a fixed number, but your share of the pool is going to change as other people get into that pool, whether it's the Hedron pool, the Icosa pool. If you have a stake ending and are deciding whether to end it or not, okay. And I was having this conversation. This is the conversation I had with the gentleman that was fixed on his old share rate. I was like, okay, this is what you do to figure out if it's wise to end that stake and restake. Take your principal, add it to your yield, divide it by the current share rate, and if your stake points increase, it's probably wise to end that stake and compound that yield. Does that make sense? You can add to your principal and it won't affect your previous principal. So let's say you got 1,000 Icosa in a stake and you want to add 500. Well, that 1,000 that you staked previously is at a certain share rate. When you add the 500, that 500 is calculated at the new share rate. And the smart contract keeps track of all this. Now, if you do add to a stake, it's going to reset the clock on it. So you won't be able to access that yield. It'll add time to the clock. You won't be able to access that yield. But there are instances where you might be able to reduce your stake, your days, which I was able to do on one of my stakes. I reduced it from like a 270 to 180. And that was pretty cool because that stake had earned so much yield and I want to compound that yield soon. But you have to keep an eye on the supply for that. Icosa yield, you might be asking, like, where does Icosa yield come from? Well, it's the daily burned Hedron divided by the share rate, and it goes to all three pools. Icosa yield is the daily burned Hedron. Hedron gets burned. Ooh, I have this in my notes. Hedron gets burned when people liquidate HSIs or people take or make payments on their advancements, or there's a function where where people can they can burn Hedron manually, and we think the OA did that initially. And we'll get into that that seeded liquidity. But Icosa yield is burned Hedron divided by the share rate, and it goes to all three pools, the Icosa, Hedron, and Watsa pools. So you might notice that's because that share rate goes up, that burned Hedron. And what happens if you have, let's say 1,000 Hedron gets burned every day, and this share rate is starting at 26,000, and suddenly it's 30,000. What happens to the amount of Icosa then going to those pools is going to be reduced, right? That's why getting in soon is important. How do you get Icosa? You can get it on Uniswap. Buy Ethereum, swap it on Uniswap, or you can get it at matcha.xyz. You can send an HSI. Just check the exchange rate first, because right now Icosa is on sale. It's like a 5x below the ceiling price, and the ceiling price is simply the max price that anybody would pay for Icosa before they just buy Hex, stake it in an HSI stake, and send it to the contract for Icosa. That's the ceiling price. And right now it's like a 5x below the ceiling price. When you send an HSI, the contract immediately takes, this is how it works. This is so cool. So when you send an HSI to the Icosa contract, the Icosa contract immediately takes an advance on all of the Hedron that's available in that HSI, sends it to the Hedron staking pool. So it actually goes on the Icosa side. The Icosa stakers get it. But it takes an advance, and then it lets that HSI go into default. So after 90 days, it's in default, and it's available to be liquidated on day 91. That's just how it works. The HSI then goes in default for non-payment after 90 days, available for auction. Oh, this is the other way you can get Icosa. Stake Hedron. Consider laddering your Icosa stakes. You could make 90-day stakes ending every month and over the course of a year, and then doing whatever you want to with the yield and staking the principal. And I have not seen much, how do you put it? I haven't seen the point in making a staking ladder yet, because of what I told you about adding your yield to your principal and getting more stake points, because we're all in this for money. And I don't know why I would just let a stake continue on and on when it has yield locked up in it. I want to release that yield and get more stake points. But there are some, and maybe they can make an argument for making a staking ladder. I have a Hex staking ladder. I don't have an Icosa staking ladder. But at some point, as the inflation comes out and this token is a little more, and there's a lot less inflation, then I am inclined. Yes, I am inclined to stake a bag and just let it go. Right? Hedron. Are there any questions on Icosa? If you got any questions, just pop them in. Hedron. The yield in this pool is the daily advanced Hedron from the HSIs sent to the contract. We just talked about that. The price right now is like 55x below its ceiling. That just means more will be burnt, which will increase its rarity. Why will more get burnt? Because when we're going to talk about the auctions. Yeah, I get ahead of myself. So some of the people are having the molly grubs because Hedron's 47x below its ceiling. Well, that just means more get burnt. More gets burnt, increases the rarity, which means it becomes more valuable. So it basically, the Hedron side basically has the same staking and end staking principles as Icosa. And you said you hold WATSA. That's excellent. But for the sake of this stream here, it's going to be up on YouTube for forever and a day. Let's cover that real quick. It was a 14-day opportunity to buy a financial NFT at the beginning of Icosa. It's now closed, but don't tune me out just yet. The WATSA pool gets a copy of the Icosa that goes to the Hedron, to the Icosa and Hedron pool. It's like a big game of chicken. A WATSA is an NFT that can be exchanged for the inherent Icosa at any time. But when it's exchanged, that WATSA is burnt and everyone else's share of the pool increases. You can, now here's your opportunity. If you missed WATSA, you can still get these. They're on OpenSea. We have a we have a Telegram group. The link is in the description. It's all about WATSAs. If I didn't hold a WATSA, I would want to have a WATSA. Go into that group and ask them what a good deal, is on OpenSea for a WATSA. And then you got to be careful of scammers, and they will be able to tell you all of that. Yeah. So the WATSAs right now, since the beginning, are earning 4% more yield, because that's how it works. As people exit the system, and people are burning their WATSAs right now. As people exit the system, the people left get more of the yield. And so everybody is earning more, 4% more Icosa yield in their WATSAs versus at the beginning. It's pretty cool. There are some big days to keep in mind. Why? And the only reason to keep them in mind is because you want to like be in. That makes sense. I'm urging people to get into the system because of some of these dates. April 23rd. Somebody was benevolently making 50 T-share HSIs and sending them to the contract, and he sent like dozens of them. So there's going to be a big wave of yield coming out on April 23rd. There is seeded liquidity every single day. 42,000 Icosa is being seeded into the Icosa pool, and that's going to end August 10th. We're averaging around 210,000 Icosa per day, including big days. That's just like a little perhaps useless fact. And here's another one. God Whale's 5 trillion Hedron stake matures August 30th. Why would I mention that? Because we don't know what he's going to do with that yield. He's got like 12 million. He'll have about 12 million Icosa in yield off that Hedron stake. I don't know that he's going to stake it in the Icosa pool. Some of us think that he might use that for providing liquidity, and I hope he does because I don't want him to stake it in the Icosa pool. I've already been diluted enough. We all have, but he could. It's his prerogative. And there's another wave of seeded liquidity that's going to end November 5th, and that's 8,307 per day. All right, let's move on to auctions. And again, I don't have my wallet connected. Have you been into the auctions? Do you have any interest in the auctions? Because I can skip that. I have not. I won like one HSI back at the beginning, and then since then, I thought I'd get in and just try to figure it out because I had some time, and I burned so much Ethereum. You get all your Hedron back, when you bid on those, and that's cool. But I was burning Ethereum, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to spend my time doing that. So, but there are a lot of people that really get into it. And one of the guys is encouraging. He's like, hey man, you get some really good deals. And there last week, a 500 T-share HSI was sold for 39 billion Hedron. And I factored in, I figured out it was about, if you factor in the T-share rate for that HSI, it was an 81% discount. 500 T-share HSI for 81% off. That's nuts, man. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm right there. Yeah, those gas fees, man, they really get me. Um, but here's what's going to happen on Pulse. When Richard Hart forks the Ethereum network, and we have Pulse, all of those HSIs that are sitting there on liquidation and they're like 3,500 or something like that, a lot of those aren't going because people aren't starting them, because it costs you like $5 just to start one. And then you got, you got to start the liquidation, and by the way, the minimum bid on these HSIs that are being liquidated is the advanceable Hedron. And if you can get these things for just the advanceable Hedron, you got yourself a deal. I mean, they're bargains. if you can get them for that amount. But I think I distracted myself. Yeah, so there are thousands of those things waiting to be liquidated. And on Pulse Network, because Pulse is going to be supposedly so inexpensive and fast, we're going to start, we're probably going to start all those auctions. They're probably all going to go on the Pulse side. It's going to be fun. And what does that also mean? Do you know what that means? Yeah, 81%. So tell me what that means if this is a question for you. If all of the HSIs get started, let's say within the first week on the Pulse network, what does that mean for us? Let's see if you know this, because I thought of it. It's been batted around in the Telegram chat. This idea, we're all kind of learning as a community, you know. It's really fun to watch, because I don't consider myself an extremely intelligent person, but I run around with some people in the Telegram chat that I consider very intelligent, and it's cool to watch us learn things together. Okay, this is what it means. If all those auctions get started, of course, it depends on how much people are going to be spending, how much headroom they're going to spend to liquidate them. But that means another sizable wave of Icosa yield coming into our stakes, which is another reason to be staked before the fork, right? So that's good news. Don't you love good news? Okay. Yeah, we covered that. So the fork. Richard Hart is forking the Ethereum network. It's going to be a system state copy. It could be happening anytime. We don't know when, but all of our Hex, Icosa Hedron and Watsas will be copied onto the new Pulse chain. And if you want updates on when that could potentially happen, follow Richard Hart on Twitter. His Twitter handle is in the description. And you can sign, if you're in Telegram, follow Hex News. All right, my buddy Steve wrote a book, and I bought it. And I don't have a picture of it, but there's a link to it. There's a link to the Amazon, to Amazon to buy the book. I think it's called the Crypto Bible. I bought it yesterday, so it's on its way. But he was really heavy in the Telegram chat at the beginning, and he peppered us with lots of questions. So he did quite a few streams. His name is Cryptographics. You can look up his YouTube channel. And he disappeared for like a couple months. You're like, where's this guy? He was writing a book, and you could buy it on Amazon, $20. I believe, let me just look in here. Let me look in because I'm almost done. I'm basically done. I just want to check one thing here. A second. So I want to make sure there's a link to a calculator. Yeah. Yeah. There is a link to a calculator that I made in the YouTube thing. Okay. And I kind of want to share that with you if I can. Yeah. Okay. Just a second. I want to show you this calculator. I've been working on it a lot. I'm going to share my screen to show you some other stuff too that might be useful. Share screen. Entire screen. There we go. Okay, this has been updated. So this is like the old calc. But what I'm doing is I'm smoothing my copy. And then once that's smooth, I will make another copy for you guys. So this is not all of this information in here is not mine. It's fictitious. But what you can do is fill in all the orange fields. And honestly, if you're not a Google Sheets guy, or you're not interested in this portfolio tracker, which it really is, you don't have to use it. I built it for me and I thought you guys might like it, but there are some functions in this thing that you might find useful. So if you want to know more about how to use the calculator, here's a video that I did and you can watch that. But let me just kind of scroll down to the juicy stuff, because there's some cool stuff that I was able to build in to the calculator. This is cool. Check out this APY, Icosa and Hedron APY. If you have any questions about which pool you can be in, I don't know what that would mean. What do you not know? If you could type that in and let me know. I'll give you a second to type. This is kind of cool being just you and me, but honestly, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. I should probably just kind of plan for other people watching, but it's all right, man. The Icosa and Hedron APY. Look at that. And this is based on one of my stakes for the week before last. I track them for 7 days. The Icosa pool was returning 315% APY and the Hedron pool 59% APY. And then just for fun, if you put the ceiling prices in there, look at this. If Icosa and Hedron were at their ceiling price, Icosa would be at a 361% APY and Hedron at 6%. And that's based on the yield from one of my stakes last week. Oh, you don't know what the impact of HSI auctions on Pulse Chain would mean. Well, I don't know. I could click on these. Hey, I wonder how those guys did that. Work and learn. Okay, so all those HSIs on right now on the Ethereum network are going to get copied. Everything's going to get a copy, an exact copy, onto the Pulse network. So those 3,700, whatever it is, HSIs on Ethereum, there's going to be 3,700 HSIs on Pulse. And it costs about $5 to start an auction on Ethereum. It's going to cost you about a penny to start them on Pulse. But you also have to start the bid with Hedron. So, but literally one whale with enough Hedron to start all of those auctions for probably several bucks and a lot of his time could start all of those auctions. They run for 24 hours. And so, but I mean, people are going to be bidding on those things. Once they're started, people are going to be bidding on them and trying to get them for a good deal. I don't know. That's my opinion about what's going to happen on the Pulse network. I think that's really the only reason why people would start them on the Pulse network, is because it's going to be cheaper to start them. That's one of the hesitancies on the ETH side. I know that. Does that make sense? Best pool. Okay, here's the best pool per dollar as of last cycle right here. Look at this. So if you were going to put in $1,000 of fiat, it would get you 1,951. Okay, perfect. Icosa, or 470 million Hedron. And this is your yield converted to dollars in the Icosa pool for a day. And this would be the yield in the Hedron pool for a day. And this is adjusted to the new share rate, and it reflects recent activity on an Icosa stake. Results will vary. Pretty sure that's about it. I mean, there's a handy little max stake estimating calculator. You just go get the get the supply. I'll show you that here in a little bit. And you plug those in, and then you can see how many Icosa you can stake and how many you can Hedron you can stake into a stake. And the share rate urgency, the share rate on 15 August was 23,176. And then today it's 26,500 something, I think. So it's increased by 15%. And that's how I was able to get some of these numbers up here to be much more accurate, is because I added or subtracted, however I had to do it. You can see it in the formula, 15%. And then I like to track supply levels and kind of see where I am in the leagues. And okay, that's about it for the calculators. But this is a ceiling calculator, a ceiling price calculator. So right now, if Icosa is 0.058 cents, its ceiling price is, and I've changed a lot of this, $2.34. Hedron ceiling price, it should lose a zero and be about 9. Okay. And that's, like I said, the Icosa and Hedron ceiling price is the max price that somebody would pay before they would just make an HSI. One, to make it one HSI for Icosa to send to the contract to get the Icosa, or the other HSI for the Hedron ceiling price would be, I'm going to make this HSI and advance all the Hedron from it. So, and we have not been anywhere near Hedron ceiling price ever. We're hoping it goes, of course. And Icosa is definitely not at its ceiling price. At the very beginning, it started out at the ceiling price, clearly, but that only lasted like the first few days. All right, so let's go. Yeah, I'm done. I just want to show you some stuff. You're familiar with the dApp. You're familiar with MetaMask. Have you seen lookintohedron.com? Crypto Sloth made this. Have you been in the Telegram chat at all? Sorry, because I picture all of the Hex people being in Telegram, especially all the Icosa and Hedron people in Telegram. So that's my reference point. And so because Crypto Sloth is in there, I kind of assume that you have come across his work. But while you're answering that, are you in Telegram? What you can do with this is, okay, cool. You can put in, are you familiar with this site? Because we can skip it. No, I don't want to skip it. I want to see how I can remove this. Just bear with me. I can hide that. Cool. All right. You're helping me learn, man. You put in the hex price. Let's say we'll put in $1. And the T-share rate, let's say it's 28,000. Let's see. And it gives you a lot of information on, this is a Hedron moon. This is Hedron. Okay, that would be the Hedron ceiling price right there. Wow. I mean, we have 5 zeros right now. We'd lose 3 zeros if Hex goes to $1. That's some serious cheese. It's a cool site. I like it. And then you got the Icosa moon math. Put the Hex as $1. T-share rate 28. Calculate. Icosa's ceiling price is wait for it. His site was doing this to me earlier today. Let's try this again. He only gets one more try, Sloth. And then we're moving on. Okay, ceiling price would be $42.76. Good HSI deals. This is, since you're not much into the auctions, this might not be very interesting, but you can. This is the stake that's going to end the soonest, and you can see the value of the bid. The underlying Icosa, only 0.77 Icosa. And the cost to make the stake, 27 hex. This is a teeny one. Is it a good deal relative to the mintable Icosa? Yes. It might not be worth the gas to get it though. Is it a good deal relative to the cost to make the stake today? Yes. Okay. Hey, this is cool. Watch this. You can put in, if you have an HSI, you can put in the address and see how much mintable Icosa is in that HSI. But this I really like. So let's say you have 1,000 Icosa. Well, that means you have 1,000 4.35 iShares. What are iShares? Well, okay. Sounds good, man. Thanks for showing up. 1,000 Icosa is equivalent to 4.35 iShares. iShares are essentially T shares. So, and there's the formula right there. I look at Icosa and Hedron as equivalent to T shares. So I know how many real T shares I have. I also know how many equivalent T shares I have in Hedron, because to get one because one T share, a one T share HSI will give, or hex, a one T share hex stake will give you 5,555,000 Hedron. So let's say you bought, you bought 100 million Hedron off the market. Well, you just divide that 5,555,000 into 100 million, and that's equivalent to how many T shares you have. Why? Because anybody trying to get that many Hedron would either they'd have to market buy it like you did, or they'd have to buy hex and stake it, and have enough T shares to have that much Hedron, if that makes sense. So, and this is another way of looking um, at Icosa stakes. And this is his formula. I haven't really meditated on this formula much, but the same principle applies. 1,000 Icosa is equivalent to about 4.35 iShares, he calls it. I need to ask him why he calls it iShares. Nice. Yeah, API to wallets. I don't know what all that is. But yeah, somebody's going to build something that's going to be better. And like you said, live data. I don't think you said that, but like API, I think has something to do with live data, and we need that. Somebody's going to build it, because the spreadsheets, honestly, they consume a ton of my time. I love doing them; they're a blast. And I just build them for myself, and I make a copy for other people. But live data is going to be the cat's meow. Another website to keep an eye on is Hex Model. You can learn about Icosa staking there. You can see all the HSIs that are going to liquidations. I'll give that just a minute to load up. Things move a little slowly when you're on the stream. There's the Icosa staking, Hedron staking. Let's come back. Here we go. And there's just a ton of information. Dev Huey is like a data head, kind of like I am, only he's a lot more advanced. He knows how to do the API. Only I think he does a lot of this manually. But another website I really like is Stakehex.today. You can put in these aren't mine. This is not my stake. This is not my wallet. But you can put in your addresses, all of them. I see. And then you can keep an eye on your hex stakes that way. I'm always referring to Hex Daily Stats. Mainly, I just go here to look at Gwei. Look at that, 20 Gwei right now. I figured it would be higher right now. And there's tons of information. There's the share rate. Share rate and GUI are probably the most important to me. The most important thing on this site right here. But then there's a bucket load of information about Hex, and you can sort it. You can eliminate some of these columns, and you can see how many wallets there are. You can see how much Hex is available, locked up, how many stakes there are. It's just vast. It's awesome. Here's another one to bookmark. Hexfire.io. Why is this important? Man, Crispy built this. And this guy has built something that gives us an idea how many, how much the share rate is going to increase. How does he know this? Because he looks into the blockchain and he can see how much Hex is how much Hex is going to be end staked, and then he can figure out what the share rate is going to increase to, and by given certain dates. So let's say you're thinking about, I'm gonna stake some Hex right here, or I might just wait till next week. Well, you might want to do it right here, because next week you're not going to get as much T shares. And so this is a super handy site. Uniswap we use meaning me. I buy Ethereum. I just get it on Matcha. I use debit card, get me some Ethereum. It's in my wallet. Then I come over here to Uniswap and I swap it for whatever ERC20 I want. Now we did talk about supply. Total supply right now, and this is the Icosa contract. It ends in 9ED. Like, there's the symbol right there. The total supply is the total Icosa that is liquid sitting in people's wallets. And that right now is, I think it's 300 and I always get confused. I think it must be 3,768,000. Yes, I think that's it. 374. That's the total supply. But there is a stake supply right here. Now this one is 37,285,382. Now, if you put the two numbers together, you can get an idea where you stand in the system. And it doesn't take much in Icosa terms to become, to have a very nice league standing. And then if you want to see what the Hedron supply is, you plug in the contract address into Etherscan, and here it is, 116 trillion. It's 116 trillion. And that's pretty much it, guys. Pretty much it. Stop sharing. Links a few walls, yeah. All right. Do you have any questions? Any questions? And we covered a lot. There's a ton of information in the description. I do recommend you buy Cryptographics' book. It's on Amazon. It's called The Crypto Bible. Why do we want to buy it? So we can support him and so we can rate the book. So, and there's some other channels that I recommend. Maxim Broadcast, Crypto Sloth, and Telegram groups. You want to join the Icosa Telegram group. Hex Security is a good one. WhatsApp, Hex News, the Hex Telegram, and follow Richard Hart, Alex McWhirter, Dev Huey, Crypto Sloth, and Maxim Broadcast all on Twitter. That's all I have. Perfect. Okay, guys. Get any last minute questions? Pop them in. There's one other, while you're thinking about any questions, let me find one more really handy, cool site. It's a block explorer that where is it? I may have lost it. It's not that one. Playground. Oh man. Yeah, I must have. Oh, this is not it. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I had it. Yeah, I don't got it. So, no further questions. We're going to shut it down. Hey, thanks for tuning in. You guys, really appreciate it. And we kept it to 1 hour. Have a good day, guys, and a great weekend. Bye-bye.